how's everybody doing? I'm going to go ahead and welcome everybody back from lunch, and we're just going to keep rolling ahead. Did everybody enjoy their sandwiches or pizza? One or the other. So I appreciate again for y'all being here today. I don't know where to put this water bottle so it's not in my way, but it's just going to have to sit right there. It's not going to sit there. Let me put it right here. So who in here makes a value-added product? Or knows what a value-added product is? All right, so value-added products are like jams, jellies, breads, granolas. It's further processing of your homegrown or farm fresh goods is kind of what it is. And I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about how to process foods here in Kentucky when it comes to value-added. So I manage the Center for Sustainability of Farms and Families. And here at Kentucky State University, I also manage the small farm grant. So some of the equipment I've talked about with the value-added processing, you can actually get through the small scale farm grant. So you're thinking about maybe you want to make a product and you want to sell it somewhere. So you're thinking about kind of what types of products that you want to make, where are you going to get your recipes, what are the costs associated with making that product? What's your marketing strategy? Are you going to sell online? Are you going to sell at a farmer's market or a certified roadside stand like Fran was talking about earlier? Are you going to do wholesale, something like that? What's your processing strategy? That's whether you're micro-based, home-based, or commercial. What trainings do you need? We've been talking about trainings today, the PSA grower training, Better Processing Control School. Some of those trainings can be paid for by the small scale farm grant as well. And what are the rules and regulations that you have to follow to sell that product wherever you're going to sell it? We're going to be going through a good bit of this today. So some of the types of products that you can produce could be fermented foods. Maybe you want to make kombucha. We're working with somebody currently to try to get their kombucha recipe approved and through so that they can sell. Jams and jellies, they're pretty low risk. Are you going to do salsas, barbecue sauce, vinegars, hot sauce? Those are a little more higher risk, and there's some changes to hot sauce currently and some barbecue sauces when it comes to vinegar-based hot sauces and the home-based processing rules. Syrups, are you doing honeys, maple, sorghum? There's certain regulations on the amount that you can do at your house before you have to have a commercial kitchen. Baked goods, freeze-dried, that's new. A lot of people are doing freeze-dried foods now. I know I've had Skittles that are freeze-dried. We've done them here at our freeze-dryer, and they're pretty good. Soaps, lotions, things like that. Beverages, like I said, kombucha, juice. There's a lot of laws when it comes to juice. Let's not even talk about that. Pet treats, something, anything like that. So let's talk a little bit about where you're going to get your recipes from. How many has a favorite recipe that they like to make? We all have that, right? We have that one thing that we love to make, and maybe we want to sell it. So you can get your recipes maybe from the Ball Canning book. These can be used as is in commercial processing. You can get them online, your grandma's favorite cookbook, or maybe it's one of hers. And there's a lot of extension-based programs plated up out there with UK that has a lot of really good recipes that are already approved and ready to go. Let's look at some of the costs. Who knows what some of the costs are associated with processing a product here in Kentucky? Are you going to rent a kitchen? Are you going to build your own kitchen? Those are two different costs associated with that. You need a permit for that kitchen. Are you paying a permit to process in someone else's kitchen? Or are you going to do your own permit? Those are based on size and your sales as well. You need inspections and recipe approval. Those also cost. Your packaging, how are you going to package your product? You got to think about those costs associated. Are you going to grow your own product, or are you going to purchase those products from local farmers? However, when you're processing, that'll help determine your processing authority also as to how you're going to process, home-based, micro, or commercial. Labels, you got to think about, are you going to print your own labels? Are you going to make your own labels? Are you going to have someone else print it? You need the labor associated with that as well. Marketing, where are you going to market the products? Farmer's market, are you going to deliver these? You've got gas, you've got maintenance on that vehicle. Online, are you going to ship these? There's shipping costs associated. Are you going to forward that on to your customer? Are you going to pay for that yourself? You need business licenses. There's a lot of places that if you're doing an LLC, you need a business license. Even if you're a home-based processor, there are some counties that require you to still have a business license because you're producing a product at your house. And then you definitely want product liability insurance, because this will help you in the long run if something happens to one of your products and they have to recall it. Trust me, you want that insurance. And your local insurance agent, Farm Bureau, whoever you're with, can help you determine what kind of liability insurance that you need. We're going to go into this a little bit. Who makes pet treats? Pet treats? These are my little fur babies, and that's Percy the cat and Archie the dog, and they love pet treats. I locked them out last night because they kept waking me up. But yes, so pet treats, there's a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to pet treats. You can reach out to the Division of Regulatory Services at UK. Alan Harrison, this is his number and his email if anybody's interested in doing pet treats. This is also going to be posted online, and we're going to be able to watch this later on as well once we get it posted on our YouTube page. All of today's program. All commercial feeds, which is pet treats, are included in this, and pet foods have to be registered with the Division of Regulatory Services prior to sale in the state of Kentucky. I do have a link here that you can register your pet food with, and you need a product label. We were talking about labels earlier. It can be the label or a legible copy of that label, and it's $50. Those pet treats can be sold in 10-pound bags or less. You can't do pet treats in anything more than a 10-pound bag. Cosmetics. So in order to do cosmetics, which is bath bombs, lip balms, lotions, sugar, salt scrubs, things like that, chapsticks, anything that's applied to the body can only be manufactured in a permitted facility. And so that's considered cosmetics. Think about lotions. Anything that's going to be absorbed in the skin or put on the skin or on the lips or anything, that's considered a cosmetic, and it has to have a commercial manufacturing label and approval. So we actually have worked with several people that are doing different balms and scrubs and things like that through our KSU program, where you come in, we help you develop your recipe, a HACCP plan if you need it or something like that, and then we get the FDA to come in and inspect you, and then we get you to move on to another commercial kitchen of your own. Now, if you're using raw goat milk in cosmetic products like your lotions or something, every batch you make, you have to send at least one bottle off for a process review. There is not a process reviewer in the state of Kentucky anymore. UK no longer offers this service, so we work to send products and help people get into Tennessee and NC State. We're working with both of them to try to help some of these products get reviewed. A lot of people use powdered goat milk. You don't have to send that off. But if you're using raw goat milk, then you have to send the product off. Now, you think, well, I'm doing soaps. I'm not doing a cosmetic. That's correct. Soaps are not covered underneath your commercial permitted facility. However, in order to be a soap, it has to have these three conditions. And a lot of this is in your farmer's market manual, which I'm pretty sure Sharon or Kate out there have a copy of the farmer's market manual, and a lot of this information is going to be listed in that when you're doing the farmer's market. You cannot make any kind of medical claim on your soap at all, because if you do, if you say, you know, it treats eczema or something like that, it definitely has to be under a FDA inspected facility if you're going to make any kind of medical claims. Other than that, you just have to market it and label it as soap, period. That's it, just it's soap. You could say goat milk soap or something like that, that's fine. And soaps do not fall under that if you're using raw goat milk under that permanent, having to have a permitted facility, because it's not a cosmetic, it's a soap. So you wash it off. Now, home-based processors. Who in here is a home-based processor or been through that? Okay, all right, great, great. So we've got a few of these. In order to be a home processor, you have to have your label that says this product is home processed, home produced and processed. You have to pay $50 each year to the food safety branch, and it can only be certain low-risk products under the House Bill 468. You have to have gross annual sales under $60,000, and all the questions for the home-based processing laws can also be directed to me, one of them, but Lewis Ramsey at the State Health is the person that you would contact for that. So for a home-based processor, you have to sell directly to consumer. You can put it online and you can sell it online, but you have to hand deliver that product. So if you have maybe an online shopping cart, they can go online, but they have to come and pay you, and that you have to hand deliver that product to them only. That's the only way you can do that. You could do farmers markets, certified farm markets, with Farm Bureau fairs, festivals, community events, and things like that. But there's only certain products that are allowed under home-based processing. Now, home-based microprocessor, in order to qualify for a home-based microprocessor, you have to grow the main ingredient, or predominant ingredient in here. Maybe you're making pawpaw jam and you're growing the pawpaws, so that would work underneath this. It can also be non-fruit, so you could do your canned vegetables, you know, maybe your green beans or something like that. You do have to do a training every year. Now, Case, you can pay for those. There's a website that I have that has listed all those. They are offered by UK. It's a microprocessing training, and it's $50 and then $10 to renew every year. Your local extension office is the one that's actually going to be having those trainings. And if you can't go to your extension office, if they don't have one, feel free to go to a local or a neighboring one as well. That's perfectly fine as well. And then you have to pay the food safety branch $50 every year to be a microprocessor. You also have to have this product is home produced and processed. You can have higher risk products, like I said, some of your low acid products like green beans, pressure canned, things like that. But you can only sell that product under a home-based microprocessor at 3 places. Certified Farm Bureau Market, which Fran talked about, KDA Registered Farmers Market, which Sharon talked about, or on the farm. So if you have a farm stand on your farm, you can sell that. No one else can sell that product for you under home-based or micro-based. It has to be you selling the product and you delivering that product to that specific customer. You do have to have an approved water source under the home-based microprocessor. And Ann Hall Norris will review your recipe. It's $5 per recipe. Sometimes she can look at your labels too as well. But you can contact her and she can help you walk you through the process of being a microprocessor. So let's look at the difference in home-based processor versus home-based microprocessors. Number one, you do have to be a Kentucky resident to fall under either one of these. You may or may not have to grow your own ingredient. It depends on the product that you're making. You do need a recipe approval for home-based microprocessors, but you do not for the home-based processor. Refrigerated products are not included under either one of these. If your product needs refrigeration, aka lemon meringue pie, which I love, then you have to be a commercial processor. So foods are prohibited from both home-based and micro-based categories. Now, if you see in red, it says other foods as designated by the Food Safety Branch or University of Kentucky. This list is ever evolving. It changes all the time. They are currently working on a House bill, and I don't know where my phone is, to change the rules and regulations on roasting your own coffee under home-based as well. So it's always updating and always changing. Definitely work with your local extension office, Ann Hall, me, Matt, Sharon, someone if you're interested in doing this. You can't do custard, pies, extracts. They're trying to work on some home teas to stay underneath this. And like I said earlier, vinegar-based hot sauces or fermented hot sauces are no longer included. Well, fermented never was. Are no longer included under home-based processing at all. There you go. There's your pies with meringue. So sad. Love those. Raw seed sprouts, this is another one that you have to have a commercial facility in order, or a commercial kitchen in order to do. Where it said garlic in oil mixtures, this is your pestos. So if you think about that, you can't do pestos either under home base. Those have to be commercial. And vacuum seal, do not vacuum seal anything. Whether you're commercial or not, just don't. Because that adds more food safety issues. Let's talk about commercial processing. In order to do the commercial processing, you can actually sell at restaurants, grocery stores, gift shops, wholesale. You can even ship it on the internet. You can ship it to Florida if you want to. I've worked with Lucky Clover Farms out of Richmond area, and they're in a lot of Kroger's, but they have an online website you can order, and they can ship to Florida. They shipped some stuff to my cousin here a while back for me. Commercial manufacturing, again, you have to have a commercial facility. Are you going to rent that facility, or are you going to build your own? KSU has helped with the Small Farm Grant a lot of times build some of these commercial facilities and help people get the grease trap or specific equipment needed in there. It does require a food safety branch label approval, and it could require a process review. Some of your fermented stuff does require, that could be up to $200, depending on where you go to get it done. Again, your business license. You also, to be in a commercial processor, you have to, what was it, 2015 or something? You have to register for the Bioterrorism Act registration if you're a commercial processor. If you have a kitchen in your private residence, it has to be a dedicated, separate kitchen from where your own food is. And you have to submit those plans to your local health department. So you're kind of working with your local health department, make nice with them, and your state health people as well. If you're renting a commercial kitchen, you need to make sure you have that contract and a signed contract with that kitchen. We have contracts with our kitchen for people that we're just walking through the process so they can submit that to get their approval. So you could use a kitchen, like a church kitchen or something like that as well. A commercial kitchen has to have smooth, non-absorbent, easily cleanable materials. So wipeable walls. Doesn't have to be stainless steel, but you've got to be able to wipe the walls down, so it can't be wood. For one thing, it's kind of something to think about. It has to be connected to a municipal sewer or an approved on-site septic system with a grease trap. Again, the size is determined by your local health inspector. The Kentucky Food Safety Branch will say, yeah, you don't really need a grease trap, but your local health department could come in and say, well, if you sell that kitchen later and it doesn't have a grease trap and they want to fry food, then you know, we're in trouble. So you have to have a, 2,500 gallon grease trap. I've seen that. 50 gallon grease trap. I've seen that. I wish I could tell you exactly what it would be, but it literally is determined by your local health department what they're going to allow. And it's not always just your health department food safety person. It's also your plumbing inspector, your sewage inspector, and things like that you have to talk to. You need a 3-compartment sink, and you need a mop sink and a hand washing sink as well. Those are the things that are required in there. You need a restroom facility. I have seen smaller farmers get away with having a 10 by 12 commercial kitchen on their property, and then they have the bathroom right next door because it's for their own home. They're not renting it out to anyone at all. But if you're going to build one in the future to rent out, it's going to need a bathroom inside of it as well. Wells, cisterns, springs, and other private water supplies have to be approved by the Division of Water before you can get your permit. And again, it has to be a dedicated area away from the main kitchen. We have had people build them in their basement as well. Your labels, give me 1 second. I guess that's just proof I talk too much. So your labels have to include your statement of identity, net quantity of contents, your ingredient statement with your allergen identification. We're going to go through that in just a minute. a name, address, a manufacturer or distributor. And one of the things you want to think about is a Julian code. We were talking about recalling products earlier. You want a way to be able to return that product to you as well. Yes, thank you. Thank you. So you're going to want to have a way to recall that product. Maybe you made 500, but they're in certain batches. So you know if something happened within this batch, then you only have to call back 20 or 30 products instead of the whole 500 lot. It's just a way to kind of keep tracking, and it goes back to your liability insurance as well. You want home-based products have to include that home-based, home-produced, and home-processed line, and everything has to be no smaller than 6-point font, which you can see on the screen. That's pretty small. I can't read that. I can read it right here. Barely. It says this is 6-point font, but that might be because I remember it. But this is an example of a commercial label. If it was a home-based label, the only difference would be that one little sentence that's on there. 9 allergens. Who knew there were 9 allergens? There used to be only 8. Can anybody tell me which one recently got added? Sesame. Yep. Sesame just recently got added to the allergens list. So there's milk, eggs, wheat, soy, peanuts, tree nuts, sesame, fish, and shellfish. Now, your commercially packaged foods do have to have the product labels that have been reviewed by the Food Safety Branch. And here's the information how to get that. It doesn't always require a nutrition label, but if you need a nutrition label, there's a process authority we can work with to kind of get you that. Sometimes Kroger will require that nutrition panel just for consumers. They want to see that. I know I like to see it sometimes, but it's not always required. The food.safety@ky.gov, that's how you submit your labels. Sharon, where did she go? I'm not sure who is over doing that. Louis Ramsey was. They keep changing people up there, but if you submit it here, they'll get it. Here's kind of an example of a commercial label. You've got your ingredients, your name, your address, your net weight. Now, your net weight has to be in ounces and grams, so it's got to be both. And that's just kind of like an idea of what to put on your label and how to list your ingredients. You want the majority of the ingredient first down to the smallest amount of ingredient, which hopefully in this is salt, unless they were making Play-Doh and then salt would be first. So again, rules and regulations, your facility requirements. You can see the Kentucky Manufacturing Food Guide. I have a copy of that. You can email me and I can get you some information on that. Your permits and registrations, business license, your home-based or micro-based processor licenses, your food storage warehouse permit, that's your Bioterrorism Act registration. If you're commercial, your prepackaged food retail sales permit. There's some places that require this. If you're doing freezer beef or something like that, I know like that's not under a commercial kitchen, you do that under USDA, but if you're selling that freezer beef at your market, you still need that mobile retail sales permit as well. So right. Some information on some places that you can go. The Food System Innovation Center has a lot of the Better Processing Control School, the Human Preventative Foods for Human Controls, if I said that right, the Home-Based Microprocessing, Commercial Manufacturing Guidelines. There's a lot of wonderful resources. There's a lot of people out here. I forgot. Center for Crop Diversification is out here. If you're wondering what you want to sell your goods for and what process you should do, they've got some price reports out there that you can use. They also have some information on how to grow certain products as well and some greenhouse products out there. Department of Ag, you've heard from them. Farm Bureau Certified Market, we've heard from them today. The K-Card, Small Scale Farm Grant, your County Agriculture Investment Program, your CAPE Cost Share Program. I know I've signed a few people's CAPE programs in here. Who has used CAPE before? Okay, so your CAPE program is a cost share program through your local extension office or conservation district, but if you start at your extension office, that's a good way to kind of find out more about that program, and they can do some cost sharing of fencing and things like that. Some stuff that we can't typically do with the small farm grant. And for more information, you have my information, Matt's information, you have Sharon and Kate that were just here, and then Anhal Norris with with UK, with a micro home-based processor. Does anybody have any questions?